I was so excited when I saw this update, and when I heard about it. I see dune buggies and an off-roader and a pickup truck that looked suspiciously like a stadium super truck, and boy was I excited. Then I found out they were all four-wheel drive, and well, what else can I say? Then I got to driving them, and well, that's where the bad news begins. I'm going to be combining these three cars into one video, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about the track they added too. I'll also cover the Starbeast SS's changes. Let's get started. The first car we're going to cover is the Sandstorm. It is a, well, huge dune buggy with some massive paddle tyres on the rear and some pretty slick narrow tyres up front. It has no armour modification options whatsoever. While this is the worst of the three cars, it is a fighting car nonetheless. Going from 0 to 60 in 4.76 seconds is actually quite a quick accelerating car. However, it is heavy, and despite having huge rear wheels, its grip is somehow terrible. The Sandstorm is extremely fast turning and has very far lock on its steering. Now this is good for any light agile car, however this is not light or agile. It is heavy and powerful, and it can't get that power down. I think these four-wheel drive cars are deliberately bad in their current state, mainly because they are the first of their kind. Their brakes and grip coefficients are all very, very low. Your only real advantage is out-of-corner acceleration, which, as you can see, is almost impossible to take advantage of because it just seems to slide sideways. This is probably down to the power bias being front to rear 30-70. The Sandstorm feels unstable and bulky. It's big, also. Almost bigger than the Vandal, but it's quite light for that size, so it's not really forceful. All in all, it's a brilliant looking car, but it's not especially good. A few things I would say go to it would be predictability. It has very consistent steering through every corner more or less, and while it's very slow, it's quite fun to drive. In higher classes I could see this car being terrifying to drive, with its utter lack of grip, but you know, I do find it enjoyable throwing it into corners and sort of knowing where it's going to go, even if where it's going is not especially useful. I'm not annoyed, I just recorded this whole fucking voiceover and my microphone was muted. I'm not bitter. Right. So, the trophy runner. What I thought was a stadium super truck was actually a Toyota Tacoma with a lift kit. I could probably leave it there for this truck really, but I guess I should continue. Especially seeing as how it's really quite hard to talk about a car or truck in this case for 4 minutes straight and keep it interesting. So then, with a 4-wheel drive and 30 to 70 front rear ratio, this truck handles very strangely to say the least. It feels kind of predictable, but like the other two, it lacks grip. There's a modded wheel set for it which got changed. I've not been able to drive it because I've got limited internet and I'm not spending nearly 20 gigabytes on doing a 9 gig patch twice. It's more than 9 gig, whatever. They really need to sort that out, especially considering there was only about 30 megabytes max of changes. I haven't been able to check because I don't know exactly the file size of the changes, it's all encrypted and stuff. I digress. The wheels would reduce braking further, and braking's hardly something good now, but it would give you a bit better grip while cornering. The brakes being as bad as they are though, is not a change worth doing in my opinion. The truck goes from 0 to 60 in about 4.8 seconds, and its acceleration doesn't drop off as much as you get faster, which I've noticed with all three of these cars actually. So this essentially means that it's sort of 40 to 100 speed, or 40 to 70 speed, is quite quick. I haven't measured it though, and I haven't measured it for other cars, so I don't know exactly what it is, or how good it is compared to others, just going off feel. Despite the high suspension, it's actually quite stable. I've not had any problems with it rolling over easily, although it does feel clumsy to drive because of its aforementioned lack of brakes and bad grip. Those should be the other way around, whatever. If its suspension pressure was about half of what it is currently, with the same amount of travel and slightly grippier tyres, this truck would be absolutely awesome. But right now it is just a Toyota Tacoma with a lift kit. While jumping using soft or hard suspension, the truck would act very strangely. It felt like the chassis wasn't connected to the wheels and engine. That's sort of the only way I can describe it. It would kind of squirrel and wobble around as it landed. This was patched out according to the patch notes, although I've not been able to test it myself. It's quite good for defensive driving, this truck. It's big and its 4-wheel drive allows you to almost always win battles by just sheer power. Of course, if you're on the inside, you can lean on people using the bad lateral grip of this truck, and that's probably where it's fastest, coming out of corners, albeit still mediocre. Perhaps putting the diff to 4 would help, I thought to myself, but no, it just seemed to make it slower. I noticed something as well. The actual power band of this truck, if you go to sort of 3000 RPM, you may as well not bother. You've got to shift down or clutch in to get a bit of a boost. It just seems to have no low-end power at all. Either way. All in all, this truck is very good in some places, but utterly terrible, being potentially some of the worst in others, which kind of ruins it for me. It's definitely got a unique driving style, and it does have potential. Maybe with a bit more practice I can get used to these quirks. Don't know, we'll see. It could probably do with a couple of small things being done to make it a little bit more competitive though. The Trooper. I should probably have more practice in this car before making a review on it, because it feels like it's probably the best of the three. Regardless, here we are. I really quite like this truck. It handles quite nicely, and while its engine is very low revving, it has a very large power band, allowing you to use that 4-wheel drive through corners quite effectively. It's by no means a meta car, struggling to set a 1 minute and 7 on alt route where I average 106 in anything that's not a Super Venom, and in Super Venom 105s and 104s but that's probably down to my lack of practice in it more than anything else. Going from 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds, it's actually quite slow off the line, and this car lacks much grip like the other two, but having a significantly shorter wheelbase makes it far more agile and far more able to change direction. The wide wheel arches make it a little bit difficult to predict the size of the front while going into corners, so getting close to barriers is sometimes quite risky. If it had wheels that were flush with the metal on the body of the car, I would probably use them. It seems to lose speed very quickly when turning. It's possibly because of it having double locked diffs, I'm not entirely sure, but overall it's a very fun car to drive and it handles quite nicely, but still slightly loosely. Again, it needs a bit of grip improvement, like they all do it seems. So then, the new track, Rattlesnake Race Park. It's a hilly desert track littered with jumps and bumps in the road. It's quite wide as well, and it features some harsh off-camber turns, which are quite difficult to do quickly. Being as wide as it is, you can get some very good speed onto the straight. There is a patch in the track where there is like 2 jumps that are staggered from each other, and you can slide between them and jump a little bump in the road that leads you perfectly into the next corner. I need to work on this a little bit though, because I find that I always end up really tight inside of the corner and lose a lot of speed because of it. It's a very fun track to drive on though, although it's being spammed a little bit at the moment. Well, thank you for watching, I hope you found this useful. I'm going to upload a video pretty soon on War Thunder. I'm thinking of doing a permadeath challenge or something in it, but I've not really quite decided yet what I'm going to do. We'll see. Hope you enjoyed this, thanks for watching and goodbye.